Hello, how are you? So today is this topic is very difficult for me to talk about, but the reality is that someone asked me today why I started this channel, and I really feel like I have become much stronger than I have ever been with myself, with my diagnosis, with my age, and everything that I have gone through. And it started when I was in elementary school. Well, we need to go back just a little bit further. I was 2 years old when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And back then, they didn't know much about it at all. It was the time where you peed in a cup and you took a dropper. You used a scientific, test tube, and you put X amount of urine in it and X amount of water. I think I still know the ratio. I think it was 5 drops of urine and 2 drops of water. Maybe it was the other way around. I don't know. It's been a really long time. Anyway, you would drop a tablet into that test tube and it would show a color. And my goodness, something just struck me. When you were negative, right? Meaning no sugar in your urine, it turned blue. And that is actually one of my absolute favorite colors, blue. And am I Pavlov's dog or something? Because I was like, oh my God, am I blue? Am I blue? Am I blue? Oh my goodness. And maybe that's why I don't like green, because green was like in the middle. And so when you were green, you were high. Anyway, the point is that when I was in elementary school, I was in the band, and I played an alto clarinet, if you can consider playing what I did, because it wasn't very good. But, I tried. I didn't practice, but I tried. And they were going on a field trip. But they didn't want to take me. They didn't want to take me. And I remember going home and telling my mother, Mom, they're going on a field trip, but they don't want to take me. They feel, what if something happens to me, whatever. And I'll be honest with you, I I don't know what she said. I don't know what she did, but she was pretty furious when she heard that. She was one of those moms that she wanted me to have a normal life, right? And so whatever I could possibly do, or whatever she could do for me so that I could live that normal life, she would do, right? And so the very next day, she went to the school, and like I said, I have no idea what she said to them. I have no idea what happened, but I was going on this field trip, and I was so excited. I was so excited. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional because this is difficult stuff for me to talk about. So, the trip comes, and we're getting on the bus, and it's a school bus. I think it was like an overnight thing. I think it was a long time ago. And when kids get on the bus, what are you going to do? You go to the back of the bus. You don't want to be with the teachers. You don't want to be next to the school bus driver. You want to be in the back of the bus. Well, not Vanessa. Vanessa had to sit right next to the band teacher because he had to keep a very close eye on me. So I'm certain you know exactly what happened. None of the kids wanted to be next to me. None of the kids wanted to have fun with me or go shopping with me. I remember we went to a mall because I had to be at the side of the director. It probably would have been better had I not gone than when I did, because after that, everything changed at school. All my friends weren't my friends. All the people in the band just pretty much ignored me. I don't know what they were thinking, I'm teacher's pet, or, I have no idea. All I know as an elementary school kid is I had no friends. None. Then it happens, flash forward several years or a couple years. I don't remember how long it was, but we moved and I was going into middle school. And I thought, this is great. I'm going to have a fresh start, and I'm not going to tell anyone, and I'm going to make sure my mother doesn't tell anyone what disease I have. And I remember having that discussion with her that I didn't want anyone knowing that I was diabetic. She had a really hard time with that, and she told me, I can't do that. What if something happens? They have to know. They have to know if something happens to you. And I thought, you have no idea how I'm treated with everyone, with all the kids, with the teachers. I'm a lawsuit, right? So we made an agreement that the nurse would know. The nurse would know, but no one else would. So I had no choice. She was adamant about telling the nurse. And at that point, I was still going to the nurse's office to do my afternoon shot. And so, there was no way around that. But she wasn't going to go to my teachers. She wasn't going to tell the principal. She promised me, and she kept her promises, right? But she said, at that time, they always had a nurse in the school. So she promised me that, she would only tell the nurse. And it got a little better, but from then on, I told no one that I had this disease. The only people who knew were my family, close relatives, and the nurse at the school. Yes, things changed. No, nothing ever happened to me that I could remember. No, I don't think so. I did end up in the hospital a lot. I did. I did end up in the hospital a lot. But it was instilled in me to never tell anybody what I had. And recently I met someone who has shown me I'm sorry. That I'm not just a disease, that I'm a person with a disease, right? And that I can be stronger. It definitely is different now. I know that. I see all these people now with, their little CGMs on their arm, and I even see, teenagers with their insulin pump, hanging out, playing with their friends, bowling, doing whatever. And as a matter of fact, when my twins were in elementary school, they had this it was a Halloween party, and everyone got dressed up, and there was just this adorable little girl, and she was dressed up as a hippo. She was so cute. So cute. And they were like handing out, they were dancing and having fun and all this other stuff, and they were handing out like popsicles. And she was standing next to her teacher, and her teacher had her cell phone, right? And she was dialing a number, and then she handed it to the little girl. And I just wondered, like, oh, isn't that interesting, and my daughter came up to me, and she's like, Mommy, she has diabetes too. She's calling her mommy to ask her if she can have a popsicle. And I thought, oh my gosh. how wonderful for that little girl to grow up in a world where she was accepted for who she was, who she is. I honestly didn't think it was going to be this hard. But this is the truth. I would never be here without Libby. I'm stronger than I've ever been in my life. And I have learned that whatever the doctors have pointed their fingers at me and said it was my fault that my sugars were high, or every time I looked at a glucometer and, I was at 200, 300, 400, what did I do wrong? Why? What could I have done differently? How much time have I taken off of my life because I messed up? And that's not the truth. The truth is, is that a type 1 diabetic let's see what happens, but your emotions sway those numbers, right? Emotionally, while your hormones are going and, you get upset and your sugar goes high. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. When you make rational decisions, I can tell you that at Christmas time, there is one thing that I absolutely love, and I only allow myself to have it at Christmas. Don't ask me why I love it so much. I have no idea. But it's glazed popcorn. Just popcorn with gelatin and corn syrup and sugar. And it's drizzled on the popcorn. And it is so bad for me. But that is one of the decisions that I make, right? I made them. I know what it's going to do, and although I try to put sugar, put insulin in to cover it, it never does. I know it's not going to. Just like a baked potato, I can't eat baked potatoes. For whatever reason, baked potatoes don't agree with me. I can put as much insulin as I can think that will cover it. It doesn't. It never does. I stay away from them. I love them so much, but I stay away from them. Those are the decisions that I'm making, right? So if I eat a baked potato and my sugar goes high, well, so be it, right? So be it. But the point here is that you're stronger than your diabetes. And it's not always your fault. It isn't. And I shouldn't say that. It's not a fault when you make a decision. It's a consequence, absolutely. And you decide at that point, am I going to accept that consequence, or should I get, a chicken instead of glazed pork chops or glazed beef ribs or something like that is covered in barbecue sauce, in brown sugar, in all those kind of things that is not going to be good for you, right? I could also tell you that when I go into a restaurant and I sit down, the first thing I look at are the desserts. And I determine, are the desserts good enough for me to get a smaller meal so that I can have a couple of bites of the dessert? Because I know my husband will share it with me. And if not, I'll bring it home and my oldest one will eat it. And if not, then, I get a full-size meal with no appetizers, because I'm not going to finish that. But anyway, that's not the point. Who cares what I do at a restaurant? The point is that don't allow having diabetes get you down, right? It's something that you have to deal with, absolutely. But it's not who you are. It's what you have, right? And there are many, many more diseases out there that are worse than what we have. And we can control it. We have insulin pumps now. We have systems that are artificial pancreases that work together, So it is much better now than it was when I had it. Not when I had it, back when I started. So this is exactly what this channel is about. It's about empowering us to have a different mindset, right? A positive mindset that we are bigger than what we have. We are stronger than this disease that we have. And we can make the decisions. It doesn't make the decisions for us. We make the decisions, right? You can argue that if you don't eat and your sugar goes low, you have a convulsion. Absolutely, that is very true. However, this is the reason why your pump and your sensor talk to each other, so that doesn't happen. So it alerts you, right? So I know okay, my oldest is what year is this? 24. He's 24 years old. So I got my first pump 25 years ago. 25 years ago, my first pump. It did not have a CGM. It just had the pump. And so I was getting insulin constantly at the rates that I'm supposed to get. So technically, I didn't have to eat because that basal rate that is going through my system is channeled to my body, right? So if you don't know about the dawn phenomenon, which happens around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., something like that, for whatever reason, I don't know the reason, I've never researched it, your sugar skyrockets. So my pump is set to elevate my basal rate before 2 a.m. and then it comes down gradually after 2 a.m. to keep me at a level, right? So it was easier for me to have a lower sugar than it is now because the CGM and the pump talk to each other. So when it's talking to each other, they're like, hello, you're going low. She's not listening to us. Let's just turn off until we can tell that her insulin, her sugar's going back up, and then we'll go back to our regular basal rate. It's taken me a really long time to trust it, but it works. It really works. I have not been super low. I've gotten to 62, but that's not super low. It's never gone below that, and it's only happened once or twice in the last several years, I guess. So I've gotten to trust it. And without this system that I have, I'm not sure where I would be right now. Honestly, I'm not sure. But, this has turned into a really long conversation. And I just wanted to let you know. Once again, you are stronger than what you have. And I know that because I have come through a lot. And I am stronger than what I have. I'm here for you. Leave me a comment. I'd love to talk to you. Good night.